.357 Magnum versus .44 Magnum. There's some debate out there about which one is better, but most of the time it comes down to people saying that the .357 Magnum is a better caliber because it has less recoil, it's easier to shoot, and it has higher stopping power than the .44 Magnum. And the truth is, it doesn't have higher stopping power. It simply has higher numbers that are recorded on the FBI one-shot stop charts. Now, everything I'm about to say is all dependent on a lot of different factors, and things aren't just cut and dry in every situation. There are some things that you have to take into account, like there are different barrel lengths that are used in different actual shootings. Just because there's a percentage or a number doesn't necessarily mean anything. But the truth is, I think that the .44 Magnum gets a bad rap when it's really not a bad caliber at all. Now, there's no doubt that the .357 is one of the greatest handgun calibers there are. And there's no doubt that there's 96% stopping power with the right load and through the right gun, and that's recorded data. But the thing to understand is, people have been using the .357 Magnum for a really long time, and there's a lot of data on it, and people have been dissuaded from using the .44 Magnum. And for years and years, having self-defense loads for the .44 Magnum, like this hollow point, was not an option. The .44 Magnum was designed to be a big revolver to fire a big soft point hunting round. So there lies your problem with getting stopping power, because even though that's a larger bullet than the .357 Magnum, the .357 Magnum is actually going to expand a little bit more. And here's a .357 .38 caliber bullet right here. It's larger than that .44, and this one isn't going to expand much more than this. Now, some actual facts on these rounds collected by the FBI is that if this is a Golden Saber, but if this is not like a full house load, but if it was, and it was shot through at least a 4-inch barrel, if it was a 125 grain full house load shot through a 4-inch barrel, you're looking at 96% stopping power. And where they got that data is that there was 641 actual shootings, 615 one-shot stops. That leads to 96%. That means that out of every shooting, 96% of the time somebody stopped, but 26 actual times somebody failed to stop at that. 26 times. Now the percentages are much lower on the .44 Magnum. Now what I'm talking now is a 200 grain jacketed hollow point, or 210 grain. It's only at 92%, 4% less than this. But that's because there's only 71 actual shootings with it. 71 versus 641. There's actually less people that failed to stop with this in actual shootings than this. Yes, the percentages are higher with the .357, but with this .44 Magnum, only 7 people didn't stop with that one shot, as with this one, 26 did not stop. Now, I'm willing to bet if there was the same number of shootings, this would have a higher percentage. It would be above 96% based on what I'm seeing. So I don't think that the .44 Magnum should be thought of as a bad caliber. And something else you got to think about is people will go on and on about recoil of the .44 Magnum. Now, I used to have a .44 Magnum, and I can tell you right now, it is not anything like people say it is. It's pretty controllable. It's pretty easy to shoot with an average .44 Magnum load. Now, 210 grain or lighter, that would be even easier to shoot. Now, think about this. A lot of people say that the .357 Magnum has all this stopping power, and they'll put it in a gun with less than 2-inch barrel, like a Ruger LCR. Not only is that going to drop that stopping power well below 96%, because it's not going to have that same velocity anymore. But it's actually going to have more recoil than this 44 Magnum in a large frame revolver. And it's conceivable to think that somebody would have a Ruger LCR or something like that in 357 as a home defense gun, just because they felt like having that. And it's conceivable that somebody would have a big end frame Smith & Wesson or a big Ruger 44 Magnum for home defense. And those, if you compare those two, 44 is actually going to have less recoil and more stopping power. And one of the biggest points about the 44, getting a revolver in 44 that people don't usually talk about, is that you can shoot 44 specials through it. Now, a 44 special, and kind of like the way the 357 has the 38 special, I mean, this is the original parent to this one, just like this is the original parent to this one. 44 special actual shootings, 76% one-shot stop. As with this, with a standard 38, the highest there are is 65%. Okay. So the 44 special and the 38 special standard pressure, this one actually has more stopping power. And even a 38 special plus P, 38 special plus P is 80%. Standard 44 special is 76%. But this is listed as a 4-inch barrel, not a snub nose. So the 4-inch barrel, 80% stopping power. This doesn't list the barrel length in the data, but I'm willing to bet all those shootings were with the Charter Arms Bulldog 2.5-inch barrel. So 76% with a 2.5-inch barrel, 80% with a 4-inch barrel. That still means that this round is more powerful than the 38 special. Now I know that doesn't have anything to do with 44 Magnum versus 357 Magnum, but these are the alternative rounds that can be fired through that gun. And I can tell you right now, this 44 special in a large frame revolver is no different than shooting a 38 in a medium frame 357 revolver. It's very light. It's like shooting a 9mm basically in a full size revolver. Yet it still has a lot of stopping power. Has about the same stopping power as a 45 ACP here. And it's got about the same size bullet too. I mean, it's a little bit lighter. If I line up these bullets perfectly, you can see with that red tip 44 special, there's not a lot of difference in diameter there. You know, about 43 caliber versus 45 caliber. And about the same amount of stopping power, about the same amount of energy. Now here I have, this is a 38 357 bullet. That's the diameter that they typically expand to. Some can expand more, of course. Now I have a 44 special and a 44 Magnum that I've shot into water jugs and got the expansion on that, and they're about the same. And this is what a 44 expands to. So, and then here's the Magnum. This is the Magnum hollow point. About the same. So the thing people don't understand is they think, well, there's more energy, so it's going to pass through somebody and not going to dump that energy. Yeah, with the soft point, yeah, it's not going to expand. When you get something that expands like that, I mean, the surface area on that is so much larger. And having a surface area and trying to penetrate with a large surface area, that's where you get into what's called sectional density. Sectional density is the amount of resistance it takes for an object to pass through a material. So when you think about that, I mean, let's just say, for instance, that these were the same amount of energy. Which one's going to penetrate more? It's obvious. This one. So because you have much larger surface area on a 44, you can put much more energy into it and have it penetrate no further than a 357 or 38. So things really need to be updated with the information, and people really need to stop watching Dirty Harry to get their 44 Magnum information, because it's not a bad caliber for self-defense or home defense. or even concealed carry it if you can shoot it in a light gun. And even if you can't, why not buy a 44 Magnum snubby? Because you can shoot the 44 specials in it. The only advantage of these 357 38 is 38 specials are extremely cheap. I've seen them down to about $12 a box, 50 for, not these ones because these are hollow points, but just shooter ammo. You know, $12 a box versus $30 a box for 44 specials. Huge difference. But if you're not going to shoot it a lot, don't think that there's an amazing advantage over the 357 versus a 44. That being said, I still think 357 is a better caliber all around than the 44. Not because I think it has more stopping power, but it's just more practical. There's more ammo out there, and you can also shoot the 38, which I think that the 38 hands down is the best handgun caliber there is and ever was. It's just an awesome caliber with its accuracy, ability to shoot it well, and for what it is, decent amount of stopping power. So that's just some thoughts about the difference between a 357 and a 44 Magnum, in my opinion, with a little bit of facts there that I've looked up. And I knew them for years, but I haven't really looked up the numbers recently, but that's some of the numbers. With the right hollow point, this is up to 92% stopping power, and this is 96. Fired through the correct gun with the correct load. So that's what I have to say on 357 versus 44 Magnum. And comment if you want. Just don't call me an idiot. And thanks for watching.